Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon U.S. time. Not afternoon my time because I'm still in Man. Excuse me. I'm still in Madrid. But good afternoon, everyone. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. Oops, making a little camera adjustment here. We are bringing you today live coverage of the press conference being held by Kash Patel, the FBI director, and President Trump. They're going to have a press conference. In 53 minutes and 35 seconds. Nandita Bose of Reuters reported that the press conference is going to a White House official, she said Patel will give an update on crime reduction efforts. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't know if there's going to be any announcements or anything. I assume they'll be taking questions. Excuse me. So we will cover that for you. Some viewers are mentioning Pete Hegseth's plane. There are some reports that Pete Hegseth's plane had to turn around. It is not uncommon for aircraft carrying government officials to have an issue. A month or two ago, one of President Trump's, the helicopters he was flying in, I believe it wasn't the helicopter, had an issue and he had to switch, I think. So this is not uncommon. Flight Radar 24 posted like a half an hour ago that this U.S. plane was having an issue and had to descend down to 10,000 feet. And Flight Radar 24 said that often indicates an issue with aircraft pressurization. Some claims online say that this was Pete Hegseth's plane. But again, I'll keep an eye on it, but issues with aircraft that government officials are flying on, do regularly happen. So I'm not aware of any kind of catastrophic incident involving a plane. Again, this actually was posted, I take it back. This was posted over an hour ago. This was posted an hour and 13 minutes ago. So I would be pretty surprised if there were some catastrophe involving a U.S. government airplane that we didn't know about that Flight Radar 24 posted about an hour and 13 minutes ago. I will certainly keep my eyes out. This is a U.S. Air Force plane. So I'll keep my eyes out, but oh, it's still flying, I guess. Here, see? 37,000 people are tracking it. Oh, I guess it landed. It's at 0 feet right now. There, 37,000 people tracking it. But it says 0 altitude, so did it land? Did it land right here? Maybe it did. Anyways. Hang on a second here. So I'll let you know if I hear more. Where is the yeah, here is the hold on. I was just going to show you here. That is the speed and altitude graph from Flight Radar 24. Where it went up, it was at about 35,000 feet or 34,000 feet, and then it dropped down to about 10,000 feet. So again, if I hear some kind of statement about it, I'll certainly let you know. And we'll have to see what this press conference is about. This press conference is supposed to start in 49 minutes. The one thing I've seen about it so far is that, as I mentioned, Nandita Bose from Reuters said a White House official said that Kash Patel would be have an update on crime-fighting efforts. Crime reduction efforts, sorry. All right, so we're going to get you caught up on, we're going to just talk about some stories before then. I have the clock on the screen. We very well might get video. It's supposed to be in the Oval Office, by the way. This press conference is supposed to be in the Oval Office. So if I get video early, which I might, I will certainly put it up on the screen for you. But maybe there's going to be some other announcement. What do you guys think? Hey, thanks so much to our moderators who are here. Roberts Mayqueen is here. Thank you. Thanks so much. And hold on. I want to thank our other moderators who are here. 13 Alamo, DeBears, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, and Sarah. On Twitch are all moderating. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X moderating for us. Thank you. Also our Facebook moderators, thanks to all of them. Oops. Charlotte Webb. Margaret Riley, thank you for moderating there. All right, let me know your thoughts. Oh, I guess there might have been... Hey, guys, we just got an update about the plane. We just got an update about the plane. The Department of War posted it. And Sean Parnell posted it. Here is the update about the Hegseth plane that everybody is writing in the chat about. On the way back to the United States from NATO's defense ministers meeting, Secretary of War Hegseth's plane made an unscheduled landing in the UK due to a crack in the aircraft windshield. The plane landed based on standard procedures and everyone on board, including Secretary Hegseth, is safe. Why there was a crack in the windshield, I don't know. How common are cracks in the windshield? I have to look that up. Was there a bird strike or something? I don't know. Till thinks they smacked a bird. Mr. Wan thinks it's happens sometimes, not usually a huge deal. I'll try to find out a little more about this if you give me 2 seconds. If you give me 2 seconds, hold on, give me a moment here. There it is. Oops. Hey, thank you so much, Calendar Page, for your support. That's really nice of you. Thanks, Calendar Page, and for your note. Really appreciate it, Calendar Page. Also, thanks to our members, Amy Clark and Aramet and Carms, who's also our moderator. Thank you so much. For what it's worth, Gemini AI said, aircraft windshield cracks happen with some regularity across the global fleet. There was an article in the Fresno Bee from 2022 that talked about cracked airplane windows. Cracked windshields, and they say that aviation experts say usually aircraft windshields have multiple layers, and more than one layer would need to be compromised for the plane to have decompression potential. And descending to a lower altitude and landing at the nearest airport is standard protocol when this happens. According to Gemini AI, cracks can be caused by multivarious factors, including bird strikes, internal damage, material fatigue. But it does not happen all the time, but it is not super rare. So there's your update on the Pete Hegseth plane. Wave Shaper thinks a goose flew into the window? Thank you, Logan, but please, Logan, please observe the chat rules. Thank you. The chat is about the news topics we are discussing. If you have questions about the modding, the mods can give you a contact info link or address where you can discuss questions about the modding with them. All right, we have, what do you guys think this is going to, do you guys think there's going to be some big new announcement in this press conference? This was scheduled, I first heard about it last night when they sent out the president's schedule, and it just had this press conference on it in the Oval Office at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in 39 minutes and 20 seconds. So I don't know what's going to happen. Lithrone thinks there's going to be a lot of Antifa talk. One of our viewers said John Bolton. Our viewer Surfing the Darkness says, I'd be very surprised if it's about something interesting like releasing the list. Quake Clouds thinks it's about Charlie Kirk. Well, just yesterday we covered the President Trump giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously to Charlie Kirk. Chris Bartels wonders if it could involve the Insurrection Act. Bolt Poke said, I heard something about Bolton. Michael Avery says, all of the above. Ricky Ayala says, the timing is sick. What, Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m.? Paula Thompson says, it won't be good in my opinion. Pro Lang says, I think it's about Antifa. We'll have to see. I'm interested like you guys are. Squid Ink, by the way, says the same thing happened to Rubio with a plane. Is that true? I feel like we have been covering news before when government officials had issues with planes. Maybe I can find the thing about Rubio. Yes, back in February of this year, a U.S. Air Force plane carrying Secretary of State Marco Rubio was forced to return to Washington, D.C. after experiencing a mechanical problem. That happened in February. Hey, thanks to Heavenly Intervention for your support. Also, Confidence in God, thank you. I have all these things I want to do here, Confidence in God. Thank you for the suggestion. I don't know if I'm going to get to them, but we'll see. Thank you so much, Confidence in God. Chuck Mosca, our subscriber, thanks Chuck, says it's interesting that the press conference is with Patel and not Bondi. It's also interesting that it's not just a Patel announcement. It's a Patel and Trump press conference. Our viewer, Golf Wang Puck, thinks it'll be no Kings related. Hang on one second. One moment. I just saw this from the New York Times. Thanks to Faye Tuck's network for posting about this. I just saw it right now. New York Times reports the Trump administration secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela. The New York Times reports that the Trump administration has secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela. I don't know what does that covert action involve? The new authority would allow the CIA to carry out lethal operations in Venezuela and conduct a range of operations in the Caribbean. It is not known whether the CIA is planning any operations in Venezuela or if the authorities are meant, or if the authorizations are meant as a contingency. Let me mention this about this New York Times report. It's in the fourth paragraph. It is not known whether the CIA is planning any operations in Venezuela or if the authorizations are meant as a contingency. So, the story is not that CIA is preparing to do operations, lethal operations in Venezuela. I don't know what they're doing. Thank you, Lucchini AP, by the way. And Texan American. Texan American says, maybe that story in the Times is about the B-52 circling off coast of Venezuela. So CNW, who I follow, they have a lot of really good Venezuela coverage. They posted about this today. They said several hours ago, CNW at ConflictsW. And these are, I believe, screenshots from Flight Radar 24. They said two U.S. Air Force bombers were currently circling just north of Venezuela. Then they said 2 hours ago, both B-52s have begun heading north, away from Los Roques after almost 2 hours of circling inside the Maiqueta FIR. Which is the Flight Information Region. So I don't know enough about normal U.S. flight patterns to know if U.S. aircraft regularly go over that area. Do they regularly go over it, but they happen to turn their transponders on today? How big a deal of this is this? I don't know. Clearly, the Trump administration has been using threatening language about the Maduro administration. They have a $50 million award, I believe it is, out for Maduro. They have a large military presence in the region. So there's speculation about whether, and they have said that Maduro is the head of cartels that I believe that Trump has declared terrorist organizations. So there is speculation about whether the U.S. might take some sort of military action in Venezuela. But we don't know. We do not know. Maybe we can do a poll about it. Will the U.S. try to remove Maduro? Will the U.S. military try to remove Maduro? That could involve arresting him or whatever. We'll ask this question. We'll do a poll question. I'm still in Madrid, so I apologize if the stream looks or sounds a bit different than it normally would. Hey, thanks to T for your support, by the way. And also Savantal, by the way. Thank you, Savantal. Who mentions the president designating Antifa a terrorist organization. Maybe we can talk about that in a little bit. That was something that happened, a couple weeks ago? All right, hold on. We're doing a poll. I'm getting distracted. I got to get the poll up. I mean remove Maduro from power. The question is, will the U.S. military try to remove Maduro from power? That's the question. From power. Not remove him from the face of the earth. Let me see what you guys said about this. I'm going to try to post this poll on Facebook. The Facebook polls have not been working. So let me just see if I can quickly post it on Facebook, but I haven't had good luck with the Facebook polls. It's been months since I've been able to see your responses on the Facebook polls. just been broken. And I've written to them about it repeatedly, and it's still not fixed. Now I can't... oh, here it is. Okay. Activate poll. It's so broken. What is happening? Ugh. Yeah, it's still broken on... I'm sorry. Facebook, it's still broken. I can't see your results. It's been broken for months. I'm sorry. All right, let me show you the results of the poll as we wait for this press conference, by the way. The results of the poll we just did. We got talking about Venezuela, even though I don't think the press conference is going to be about Venezuela. Although maybe Trump will talk about it if he's asked questions. Let's see here. All right, here's the polling results. I'll put it up over the story about, this was yesterday. President Trump said the U.S. killed 6 people in a strike on a boat accused of carrying drugs near Venezuela. Okay, so this poll, did I post the, wait, did I even post it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, on YouTube, you guys are, I said, will the U.S. military, oops, that didn't work. Let's try this again. I said, will the U.S. military try to remove Maduro from power? On YouTube, look at this, 70% say yes. 70% on YouTube say the U.S. military will try to remove Maduro from power. Let's see what Twitch says. Check this out. Twitch says, surprise, surprise, 80% on Twitch. Oh my gosh. You guys think this is going to happen. 79% on Twitch and 70% on YouTube think the U.S. military will try to remove Maduro from power in Venezuela. Wow. Alma de Sendero is a Venezuelan. Thanks for watching. Chris thinks that would go bad. Nothingness says for the oil, we've been here before. Dennis Britt says Venezuela and then Cuba. All right, thanks for voting in our poll. Again, I don't think the press conference is going to be about that, but it came up in our discussion, our pre-press conference discussion, so I wanted to ask about it. Hey, by the way, I want to say thanks to a couple people. Thanks to Marcia Divac. Thank you so much, Marcia. That's very kind of you. Thanks to Sticky Frog for the memberships. Thank you so much, Sticky Frog. Thank you, Colleen Sarah, for your support and your kind words. Colleen Sarah. Also, Don K. Thank you, Don K. Also, thank you to Flumpingtons for subscribing. Ophono101 for subscribing. Thanks, Drunk Can't Cook, for subscribing for 2 years. Wow, thank you. Guy from the 207 for subscribing. 24 minutes till the press conference is going to start, if it starts on time. I have heard quite little about what this press conference is going to be about. Hang on one moment here. As I mentioned, the one thing I had heard was that Nandita Bose of Reuters said a White House official said during the press conference that Kash Patel will provide an update on crime reduction efforts. That's not very specific. Kaylee N says, I think, hold on a second here. Give me 1 second here. Kaylee N said she thinks it's going to be about the protest on Saturday, the No Kings protests. By the way, Axios says No Kings protest organizers expect millions to gather across the nation on Saturday for these No Kings protests. Axios say Republican lawmakers are decrying it as a hate rally. Is that what it's going to be about? Interesting. I don't know. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds here. Just checking a couple things real quick. Oopsie. Yeah, anyways. These are going to be happening on Saturday. Excuse me. Live now from Fox says the next day of No Kings protests opposing the Trump administration will be October 18th. The first one was on June 14th. Well, we'll see. Oh, thanks to Colleen Sarah for becoming a member. Also thanks to Eric Bush. Eric thinks that the Trump administration is scared of the potential numbers on Saturday. You can tell because they've demonized the event with their rhetoric. I think this press conference is about this coming weekend. So several of our viewers think that the press conference is going to be about the No Kings protests. You can see here on Wikipedia, No Kings protests are a series of demonstrations that took place on June 14th, largely in the U.S., against what the organizers describe as the authoritarian policies of Donald Trump and corruption in his administration. Organizers have planned another No Kings protest for Saturday, October 18th, 2025. I have no idea if the press conference is going to be about that. Chris Bartels, our viewer, thinks the last protest was a flop. A Stoic Pause says protesters are claiming it will be bigger than the last one. Yeah, I mean, if there's big news on Saturday about the protest, we'll cover it. We are waiting less than 20 minutes until the scheduled start time of the Trump Kash Patel press conference, guys. In the Oval Office. and it's still not really clear what's going to happen in it and what it's going to be about. In case you missed it, some people had asked about this again. There was an issue, a crack in the windshield of a plane that Defense Secretary Hegseth was on. He is fine. Secretary Hegseth said, all good, thank God, continue the mission. Continue mission. So look, Sean Parnell, who is Pentagon spokesperson, I believe. Pentagon spokesperson. He said on the way back to the U.S. from NATO's defense ministers' meeting, Secretary of War Hegseth's plane made an unscheduled landing in the UK due to a crack in the aircraft windshield. The plane landed on standard procedures and everyone on board, including Secretary Hegseth, is fine. And Secretary Hegseth said, all good, thank God, continue mission. Gary Angelus says hopefully the press conference is about Pritzker being indicted. If it was about somebody being indicted, I would think it would be a U.S. attorney or maybe Pam Bondi. I don't know that Kash Patel would be there for that and not them, but who knows? Strawman says FBI doesn't announce that stuff. All right, about 17 minutes if it starts on time. I don't know for sure it'll start on time. Trump's been pretty quiet on Truth Social today. I don't think he's posted anything today on True Social. I mean, there's been some reposts on True Social, but I don't think he's posted anything today yet on True Social himself. You know, writing, not repost. So if I see anything, I'll let you know. Our viewer Sparkplug thinks it most likely will not start on time. Woman of War said, could it be the files? Felicity says it never starts on time. I want to give you a little update on something that just came out, just to talk about it real quick. Hey, thanks to Creosote for your support. Thank you, support. Thanks, Creosote. I appreciate that. I also got to check. I'm going to check and see if we have any update from the White House press pool about this event. Thanks to Fred Witherow as well. Hey, thanks, Fred, for your support. Thanks so much. I don't see anything from the White House press pool at the moment. Here is a little update about something that happened in recent minutes. You'll see it in a second. Judge temporarily blocks the Trump administration from firing workers during the government shutdown. AP says President Trump's administration, for now, must stop firing workers during the government shutdown, a federal judge in San Francisco ordered on Wednesday. The judge, U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston, issued the emergency order after federal agencies on Friday started issuing layoff notices aimed at reducing the size of the federal government. The layoff notices are part of an effort by Trump's Republican administration to exert more pressure on Democratic lawmakers as the government shutdown continues. Is this anything about the legal reasoning here? The American Federation of Government Employees and other federal labor unions had asked Ilston, the judge, for a temporary restraining order blocking the administration from issuing new layoff notices and implementing those that were already sent out. The unions said the firings were an abuse of power designed to punish workers and pressure Congress. The unions say the layoff notices are an illegal attempt at political pressure and retribution and are based on the false premise that a temporary funding lapse eliminates Congress's authorization of agency programs. The government says the district court lacks jurisdiction to hear employment decisions made by federal agencies. I'm not a legal expert. I don't know how this is going to go. I'm guessing this will be appealed by the Trump administration. I don't know. I don't know, Kev. It doesn't say in the article what the legal basis for the ruling was. If I see it anywhere else, I'll let you know. The Washington Post says about this, hold on, I'll tell you in a second what they say about it. They have an article about this too. Here, right here. Oh, that's not even updated. I have a more updated one. Judge orders Trump administration to pause shutdown layoffs. So the Washington Post says, okay, the government has argued that agencies have broad authorities to reorganize workforces to conform to the president's priorities, but the unions for federal workers argued that the layoffs were improperly handled, politically motivated, and based on a false premise that the shutdown allows the government not to continue its statutory requirements. The unions have also argued that the government's use of reductions in force, an extensive process requiring promised severance payments during the shutdown, would break the Anti-Deficiency Act, which forbids the government from obligating or expending any money not appropriated by Congress. Trump administration officials had previously cautioned against proceeding with the RIFs because of that law, the Washington Post previously reported. The judge said today that the Trump administration has appeared not to follow the law when doing the reductions in force, the firings. The judge also raised concerns about the errors the government has made, initially giving inaccurate estimates of how many people were given RIF notices at some agencies. She ordered the government to provide details about their planned reductions in force within 2 days. Anyways, I am not a legal expert. I don't know how this case is going to go, but it looks like for the moment, the layoffs, shutdown layoffs, have been paused by a judge. Hey, there's only 10 minutes till this press conference is supposed to start, but we'll see if it starts on time. I'm not seeing any live video yet from it. So I got to keep an eye out just to make sure we don't miss the start of it, but it's not live yet. By the way, the Israeli Defense Forces posted 9 minutes ago that according to information received, the Red Cross is on its way to a meeting point in northern Gaza where several coffins of deceased hostages will be transferred into its custody. The IDF requests that the public act with sensitivity and wait for the official identification, which will first be provided to the families of the hostages. Hamas is required to uphold the agreement and take the necessary steps to return all the deceased hostages. The estimate I've seen is 28 deceased hostages. I believe 7, I think, have been returned in the last 2 days. There was actually one set of remains that was returned that Israel says was not a hostage. Was it 7 or 4? I thought there were 4 on one day and 4 on the next day. So yesterday, Israel said, following the completion of, or I guess this was earlier today, following the completion of examinations, the 4th body handed over to Israel by Hamas does not match any of the hostages. Hamas is required to make all necessary efforts to return the deceased hostages. I thought that there have been 8 sets of remains, 4 on 2 days. I have to check that, though. Anyways, I'll let you know if we get any updates about that. Hey, thanks to Jess Griffiths. Thanks for your suggestion has been noted. Jess Griffiths, thank you for being a member. All right, supposedly less than 8 minutes till the press conference. If it starts on time, I will keep an eye out. And you know what I got to do? Let me do something real quick. In anticipation of showing you this, I'm going to get one of the camera angles ready. Oops. Thanks to Sevenfold 777. Sevenfold says, Trump and Patel keep talking about cracking down on crime. Why don't we start with releasing the Trumpstein files? That's what Sevenfold says. Thanks also to Creosote, who says, maybe it's about the cartel bounties on ICE agents. It has not been specifically announced officially by the administration what's going to be talked about. Yesterday, Homeland Security said bounties originating from Mexico offered to shoot ICE and CBP officers in Chicago. This is what the Department of Homeland Security said yesterday. They say that the DHS has obtained credible intelligence indicating that Mexican criminals, in coordination with domestic extremist groups, have placed targeted bounties on U.S. ICE and Customs and Border Patrol personnel. I can't confirm this. This is what the Department of Homeland Security is claiming. These criminal networks, says DHS, have issued explicit instructions to U.S.-based sympathetics, including street gangs in Chicago, to monitor, harass, and assassinate federal agents. So their claim is Mexican criminals are supporting this. Now, they do also talk about, that aside, they say that in neighborhoods like Chicago's Pilsen and Little Village, gang members affiliated with groups such as the Latin Kings have deployed spotters on rooftops equipped with firearms and radio communications. They track ICE and CBP movements in real time, relaying coordinates. This surveillance has enabled ambushes and disruptions during routine enforcement actions. The DHS claims There is a bounty program to incentivize violence against federal personnel. The DHS claims in Portland and Chicago, Antifa groups have provided logistical support such as pre-stage protest supplies, doxing of agent identities, and on-the-ground interference to shield cartel-linked individuals from deportation. I don't know if this will be a topic discussed in today's Kash Patel Donald Trump press conference, but our viewer mentioned it. Thanks for mentioning it. Creosote. Supposedly, the official press conference start time is in 3.5 minutes. I don't have any video of it yet. The White House isn't live yet. I haven't seen any reporting from the White House press pool about it yet. So we'll have to see. We're going to be bringing you live coverage when it happens. Then we'll take your comments after it happens. All right, in 1 minute and 48 seconds, I'm gonna have to remove the clock because it's then gonna be 3 p.m. Eastern time, and it won't have started yet. So, again, oops, see, where is this? Again, as soon as it starts, we will have live coverage of it. Got to do something real quick here. Give me about 20 seconds here. Let me just deal with one thing. Any other thoughts on what this will be about? I've been reading some predictions from the chat. Grant 74P thinks it'll be 45 minutes late. That's what Grant thinks. Cosmo thinks it could be a nothing burger. Kash rarely has anything to say, but what did Trump certainly will? That's what Cosmo said. Hey, thanks 33IO for your support. Mikey thinks it'll be about a Bitcoin seizure. I was reading about that Bitcoin thing. This came out yesterday from the Department of Justice. Chairman of Prince Group indicted for operating Cambodian forced labor scam compounds, engaged in cryptocurrency fraud schemes. Department of Justice files largest ever forfeiture action against approximately $15 billion in Bitcoin currency currently in U.S. custody. An indictment was unsealed yesterday in Brooklyn charging Cambodian national Chen Ji, the founder and chairman of Prince Holding Group, a multinational business conglomerate based in Cambodia, with wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering conspiracy for directing Prince Group's operation of forced labor scam compounds across Cambodia. Individuals were held against their will in the compounds, engaged in cryptocurrency investment fraud schemes known as pig butchering scams that stole billions of dollars from victims in the U.S. and around the world. The defendant is at large. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York and the Justice Department's National Security Division also filed a civil forfeiture complaint against approximately 127,271 Bitcoin, currently worth approximately $15 billion, that are proceeds and instrumentalities of the defendant's fraud and money laundering schemes, and were previously stored in unhosted cryptocurrency wallets whose private keys the defendant had in his possession. Those funds are presently in the custody of the U.S. government. Wow. So the U.S. took control of $15 billion of Bitcoin that it said was proceeds and instrumentalities of the defendant's fraud and money laundering schemes. $15 billion worth of Bitcoin. Yesterday, Kash Patel said, today the FBI and partners executed one of the largest financial fraud takedowns in history. This is an individual who allegedly operated a vast criminal network across multiple continents involving forced labor, money laundering, investment schemes, and stolen assets, targeting millions of innocent victims in the process. Anyways, this is a whole long press release. It's interesting. I'll post a link to this in the chat. You can read more about it. I'm posting the link in the chat right now. You can read from the Justice Department. Now, I don't know that today's going to be about this because this was announced yesterday. That was announced yesterday. I don't know that President Trump would join Kash Patel for a press conference just about that. I just saw something real quick, by the way. Give me one moment. Sorry. I can remove the countdown clock since we're now officially running late. But before I do that, give me 1 second here. Hold on. Whoa. Sorry, that is playing. Let me just get rid of the clock. Why is that still playing? Why is that music still playing? Let's try this one more time. Good. So, what was the thing I was going to show you while we're waiting for the press conference to start? No video of it yet. Oh, I know what I wanted to check. I had something I just saw that I want to check on for you. Give me a moment. While we wait for this press conference to start. So I am seeing right now something about Hamas that I want to mention. Can I find their actual statement? Give me a moment here. I am seeing reporting about a statement that Hamas has made. I can't find the statement myself. AFP reports that Hamas says it has handed over all the hostages it can reach. They have not handed over all of the hostages believed to be dead, by the way. Yeah, Amakai Stein with Jerusalem Post says Hamas says that the remaining bodies require significant efforts in specialized equipment for search and recovery, and they are making a great effort to resolve this issue. I think they've returned less than half of the believed to be dead hostages. Yes, so the Times of Israel says that 2 are supposed to be returned today. The Red Cross is collecting 2 more. And Hamas says it has, Hamas claims it's met all its obligations and returned, and the bodies of all the dead, and it's returned the bodies of all the dead hostages it was able to reach. So there are believed to be 19 other bodies of hostages in Gaza, which have not been returned. So I'm just updating you on that. Yes, so if it's 2 today, that'll make 9 of the 28 dead bodies handed over. Okay, now, it is 3:08 p.m. Eastern Time. This press conference was scheduled to start at 3 Eastern Time. I still don't know what this is going to be about exactly with President Trump and Kash Patel. I don't know what they're going to talk about. Are they going to make any new announcements? I don't know. The first I heard about this, I think the first anyone heard about this publicly was last night when it was announced as part of President Trump's schedule. So we're going to cover it live for you, and we're going to take your comments after. And as soon as I see any video of it, I will put it on the air for you, but nothing yet. Oh, one of our viewers said The Hill said something about it? I mean, The Hill said they will discuss the administration's efforts to crack down on crime. Oh, they have a quote from a White House official. The Hill says they will discuss the administration's efforts to crack down on crime amid a surge in federal law enforcement in places like Memphis and Chicago. I mean, that doesn't tell you that much. Ooh, I think that AFP is getting ready to start their feed, it looks like maybe. Okay, good. We might be making some progress here to getting video. Let me just fix this. Okay, that looks good. Let me fix this. All right. I do not have a feed of the Oval Office right now. As soon as I get one, I will put it on the air. It has not started yet. Let me know if you have any thoughts on what might happen. Again, I cannot, the internet is not my take whatever you want for free source. I can only show you what I have the rights to. I pay for footage. Sometimes the footage is free if it's, for example, posted by the government, but I cannot just steal anything I want from the internet. It does not work that way. It is 3:11. And I still haven't seen anything. Sometimes the White House press pool will post, hey, we're gathering for the press conference, and I have not seen that yet. Oh my gosh, I did not know. Well, this is great. We have numerous lawyers in our chat who specialize in fair use law. And these lawyers, these professionals are giving me free advice. Wow, I should just take this advice from the professionals in our chat. Why should I even go to a lawyer? I should just take the free advice from the career fair use professionals in the chat that are giving me free advice about the law. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Your guess is as good as mine as when this is going to start. The White House is still not live on their end. The network pool feed, which I can't even use, but they're not live. No, I can use the feed from AFP, but that's not live. The Reuters feed is not live. So none of these is live yet. Jason Zeno says, when do we think this is going to start? Let's see if I can see any of the reporting about this. Fox News says they will focus on crime reduction efforts in major cities such as Chicago and Washington, D.C. But, I mean, that could mean a lot of things. A question I have is, are they going to announce some new policy or something about crime reduction efforts when markets close? One of our viewers, Sean Rogan, thinks they will wait till markets close. Well, that would be 4 o'clock. Live now from Fox says they could even talk about the indictment of James Comey. I don't know what they're going to talk about. Hang on a moment here. Hey, thanks to Boopy Doop 19, but please, Boopy Doop, respect the chat rules. Please respect the chat rules. Thank you. Thank you to Betcha Pritzker. Sorry. Thank you to Tom B for your comment. Tom B says Betcha Pritzker will be remembered. My brain stopped working. Tom B says Betcha Pritzker will be mentioned. So Tom thinks that Trump and Kash Patel will talk about J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois. Trump was talking about J.B. Pritzker yesterday. Make Nussie great again, says martial law. Let's see here. Sometimes with these press conferences, you hear before exactly what's going to be announced, and that's not the case today. Hey, thank you, TK. I really appreciate that, TK. Thanks for your support. Thanks to all of our moderators who are here as we cover this. I really appreciate it. We have moderators like, right now, here in the chat, Ruth Krafasi is moderating. Thank you, Ruth. Roberts May Queen is moderating. Thank you. Over there on Twitch, Bastion Girl, DeBears, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai, 3 Sarah, and Riff Tracks. Speaking of Twitch, thank you to Cece for the support. Thank you, Nancy Elizabeth, for subscribing. Thanks, Larry Picklejar, for the gift subs. Larry Picklejar gave out 6 gift subs on Twitch. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bubba Twitcher, for subscribing. Thanks, Dusky 10FPS, for subscribing on Twitch. And Flumpingtons. Thanks, Chip Whitley, our new member. Oh, thanks for moderating over on Facebook. Margaret Riley and Charlotte Webb. Thanks, Chuck Mosca, for subscribing on Facebook, too. And Sharon Klassen Goslin. And Jennifer Ellers. And all of our other Facebook subscribers. And Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha, thanks for subscribing on... Thanks. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderate for us on X. Thank you. Carlos Discount says, hopefully he addresses the government shutdown and what negotiations are happening. I think I have an update on the hostage remains handover. I think one just came out. Yes, the Israeli Defense Forces say, according to the Red Cross, 2 coffins of deceased hostages were transferred to the Red Cross, and they are on their way to the IDF and Shin Bet forces in the Gaza Strip area. Now, remember, Hamas has announced today that they have returned all of the remains of hostages that it could reach so far and said they need extra equipment now to reach the rest. There are 19, apparently, dead hostages that they have not returned yet. Irene Angel Erico says, any predictions on press conference? I don't know. You know, I mean, my instinct is that there's going to be some sort of announcement, but who knows? If President Trump and Kash Patel are appearing together, Sophia thinks they'll talk about the government shutdown. Some of our viewers think they're going to talk about the No Kings protest on Saturday, where there's supposed to be a protest in numerous cities, anti-Trump protest coming up on Saturday. Was this scheduled all week, Luck? The first, I believe it was publicly heard about, was last night when it came out on Trump's schedule. I had not heard about it. All right, it is now 3:19 p.m. It has not started. I haven't seen footage of it. The White House is not live yet. Now, I will say this. Reuters said they're going to have video coming up any moment now that I can show you. But so I have my eyes on 3 different things waiting for the video to come up. But Reuters suggests that they're going to have the video soon. So as soon as I have it, I'm going to put it up on the screen. But they haven't started yet. Let me know if you have predictions. I don't want to get too sidetracked on some other topic because then I'll do that and I'll miss the start of it. Thanks to Zana of Wisteria, our new member. Thank you. Maybe he'll talk about sending federal forces into some other city. Did I thank Elijah yet? Thank you, Elijah, for your support. Thank you, Jonathan, for your support. Thanks, Sydney, for the memberships. Thanks, Jill M, for being a member. Thanks, Drasco V, for your support. Jess Griffiths, for being a member. I hate when you guys have to wait, but I'm waiting too for whatever, just so you know. DE thinks it's nothing huge. What is this? Amy H says, we expect the wait now. Anything from the White House press? Oh, I got an update. I have an update. The White House pool has been called to gather for the press conference. Okay? That's from Nick Popley, the White House pool reporter today. So he has posted about 9 minutes ago that the pool has been told to gather for the press conference. Okay? So that's something. The reporters are gathering for the press conference. So that's something. Just saw that email. So it should be soon. It really should be soon now. Our viewer 7 Save the Weed says, let's go. Will anyone else be there besides them? That I don't know. Boohoo says, are we there yet? Fred Witherow says, I can't wait. Zesty Zombie Zomp says, sounds like another No Questions and Just Listen episode. There was a recent press conference that we covered, which was when President Trump, was he with Kirsch? Who was he with a few weeks ago? Where they did a press conference and they didn't take questions. It was him and Netanyahu. The Trump-Netanyahu press conference, it was like a week or two ago. And they didn't actually even take questions. Looked like this impromptu move by President Trump. Hold on a second here. So I'm assuming they're going to take questions. Thank you to Kimby, our new member. $324. White House press pool says they are gathering. They have been told to gather for the press conference. There is no video I see of it yet. Is the White House live yet? The White House is not live yet. Let's see here. Confidence in God says, is this in the press room or the Oval Office? The schedule said it's going to be in the Oval Office. Some of our viewers thought they might talk about Antifa today. It was supposed to start at 3 Eastern Time. Again, I don't want to get off on another topic because any moment now I'm expecting the video to pop up, and I want to get it on the screen as soon as it pops up. The Watcher says Antifa is an idea, not a group. Rick Ashtray thinks they're going to talk about Venezuela. Hey, thanks, Lunar Waltz, our member. I appreciate that, Lunar Waltz. Haven't seen any new reporting about the press conference the last few minutes. Count Yorga says Antifa is absolutely an organized group. Does it mean anything if it's in the Oval Office? I don't know that. It is now 3:27. Supposedly, this is going to happen at any moment. Supposedly. Has there been another one of these? I don't know if I've covered ever a Trump Kash Patel press conference. Colleen Sarah says, hoping it actually happens. I think it's going to happen. Thank you to Tech Wizard for your support. Yeah, Tech Wizard said, I had just seen this, Tech Wizard, the NTSB has released its final report on submersible Titan. That's true. I just saw that a little while ago. I don't want to start talking about that now because then I'll just get distracted and miss the press conference. But thank you, Tech Wizard. Yes, I am still in Madrid for a little while longer. Jennifer Boat says maybe about Chicago. Normally, once the press pool starts gathering, it's pretty soon after that. And the press pool was told to gather at 16 minutes ago. So they might be waiting like just outside the Oval Office. We might even get the shot where the camera goes into the Oval Office. Oh, the White House just went live? Hold on. That's a good sign. Yeah, the White House feed is live. They don't have it yet, but they're live. I think they don't have it yet. I'm not seeing it yet. I'm seeing a spinning circle. Yeah, the White House says we will begin shortly. I can put that up on the screen for now. I'll put that on the screen now for now. All right, hold on. I need to get rid of this. There. Hold on. Wait. Good. Okay, so you can see it says, we will begin shortly. President Trump participates in a press conference with the director of the FBI. But the other feed hasn't started yet. So I might get other video beforehand. Concealed Dad says, don't miss it. People want to know what is going to be said. And will they take questions? There might be questions on other topics. Maybe Trump will be asked about things like Venezuela and the shutdown. Thank you, S. Stern42 on Twitch. I appreciate that. Thanks, Haunted Wind on Twitch for subscribing. And Nancy Elizabeth, thank you. Billy Club says if the FBI is involved, it is a domestic issue. Bluesy Girl says, you know he will talk about other things. He answers questions all the time. Rob Z-Man thinks it's going to be a Chicago and Portland update. Maybe he'll talk about Portland, or they'll talk about Portland. It's too bad we haven't gotten a shot from inside the Oval Office yet. Benjamin Shearer says, I think they stopped a terror cell. By the way, when it actually starts, I may have to switch the camera angle depending on which one is better. So bear with me right at the start. Sometimes I switch from one to the other to get you the best video and audio. Our viewer Oreo says it can be either really important or really pointless. Pebble Girl thinks somebody is about to get in trouble. Kash is there. Golden, one of our viewers just said, stock markets close at 4 p.m. Timing is everything. You think they're going to wait till 4 p.m.? That'd be 26 minutes from now. Thank you, Concealed Dad, for watching. Everybody is waiting. I am waiting. Still not seeing any new reports about it, about what they're going to talk about. One of our viewers thought they're going to talk about indicting Schiff. Tim Pendleton says, no 3-minute warning yet. No, I've heard nothing about it. What if it's some surprise announcement? What if it's an announcement we don't know about? Yeah, Watching live stream says that would be Bondi. Right. So, as I said before, if it were about somebody being indicted, I don't think it would just be Kash Patel. But who knows? David Klassen thinks it's going to be pointless. One of our viewers just said it's going to be about the No Kings protest on Saturday. The Mookie says it's going to be the indictment of John Bolton. Mike Kimmel thinks nothing good will come of this press conference. It is 3:37 Eastern Time. We are waiting for this to start. Marco Johnston thinks it will be huge. Ricky McLaughlin thinks it's going to be about the No Kings protest and threatening people if they show up to protest. It's going to be in the Oval Office, this press conference, supposedly. The Watcher says Insurrection Act to Los Angeles. Brad Stevens thinks probably Nothing Burger again. 3 Barbecue says don't crash the market, please. Wounded Bear says maybe they'll announce the indictment of Jack Smith. Victor Hawkinson thinks it'll be about domestic terrorism. Susan Sows says it is a distraction. Sloppy Joe says, I am excited. I love these announcements. If there's going to be an announcement, it's going to be a press conference. Excuse me. Malibu's Most Wanted says martial law declaration? Everyone's waiting. I don't have an update yet from the White House press pool. They had said that they were called. The White House press pool said they were gathering about 25 minutes ago, told to gather for this. Tony says it's going to be cartels. Arturo says, love the anticipation. Detty says, bet he fired Dan Bongino? We got some interesting theories in the chat. Still no video to show you. If I had the video, I'd show it to you. Gigi's Kitty says, do we get a prize if we guess correctly? Nancy H. thinks Kash does not have a press conference for the little things. I have no idea. I just don't know. I do not know. I'm waiting like all of you. Thomas Lanham thinks it's going to be major. Oh, the White House just went live right now. It's going live right now. Hold on. The White House just went live. Hold on. Hold on. There it is. See, they're in there. They're in there. They're there. All right, they're there. We're live. We are live. Getting ready.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's great to be in this. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's great to be in this beautiful Oval Office.
I'll fix the audio.
So nice. We're getting great compliments. Never looked so nice. We're getting great compliments, and you see outside how that's kind of improvements to the White House, and we're doing that. One of the things you should be looking at is the Palm Court, because that's been totally redone. So we like to preserve and make better the White House, and that's really what's happened, and we're getting tremendous reviews, and we appreciate it. But we're here for a different reason. It's called Operation Summer Heat, which is an appropriate term in light of what we're doing. And early yesterday morning, I returned from the Middle East, where we celebrated a historic agreement to end years of suffering and conflict. Amazing. Every country came together. I mean, even the enemies came out and totally endorsed it. Everybody, I've never seen anything like it. Nobody's seen anything like it. And just as we are forging peace and stability abroad, we're also restoring peace and safety and stability at home. And you see that in Washington, D.C., maybe better than any place, because we got there, and within 12 days it was very good. And within 30 days it's been as safe as any city in the country. It's been great. Took out 1,700 people, got them out. These are career criminals in many cases, and people that shouldn't have been allowed in by the Biden administration. Historically, the summer months have been a time when violent crime soar, as you know, but not under President Trump. Today we're announcing the results of a sweeping law enforcement effort known as Operation Summer Heat. We were in many cities that people didn't know about. We kept it a little quiet, and it had a big impact, and you'll hear that in a second. But over the past few months, FBI offices in all 50 states made crushing violent crime a top enforcement priority. That's what they did, rounding up and arresting thousands of the most violent and dangerous criminals. And these are among the most dangerous and violent people in the world. They were allowed, in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases they were allowed in by a very foolish, actually stupid, open border policy. Just anybody could have come in. They emptied out their jails, their prisons, their mental institutions. They emptied them into our country. And the people behind me have done an incredible job, because if we didn't have that administration, it would have been so much easier. They allowed millions of people in this country that shouldn't have been allowed, including over 11,000 murderers, half of whom murdered more than one person. And many of them are gone now, or they're put in prison, because we don't want to have them come back. So we literally put them in our prison, which we don't want to do. But we bring them back to their countries. Working with state and local partners, the FBI arrested over 8,000 violent criminals during the course of this period. In major cities like in New Orleans, Nashville, we saw a 250% increase in arrests. And we really went after the bad ones. These include 725 individuals wanted for violent crimes against children and murderers. These arrests are in addition to the work of our historic federal task forces that make D.C. Safe Task Force has been unbelievable. I mean, the job they've done, it's incredible. And it's been so nice, because so many people, they're going out to dinner and they're having dinners. They didn't go out for 4 years. And now they're going out 3 times a week. Restaurants are opening. Restaurants are full. And usually that means a lot of good things. But restaurants that were closed are now opening up. And everybody's happy. It's nobody's ever seen anything like it, actually. And everybody feels safe. You can have a child walk right through the middle of Washington, D.C., and nothing's going to happen. We were losing more than one person a week in Washington. They're being killed on an average of over one a week. The Make D.C. Safe Task Force has been incredible. And the Make Memphis Safe Task.
Hold on. I can switch. They're having an issue with their feed. I'm going to switch to the other feed right now. Switching to the other feed. Other feed. Here we go.
The largest law enforcement operation targeting violent criminals in American history. As a result of these efforts, violent crime declined 20% nationwide compared to the same period last year, and it was the safest and most peaceful summer in 2 decades. And honestly, we haven't really even gotten going yet. We didn't have to fight all of these radical left governors. We could have had Chicago taken care of, as an example. Peaceful summer in 2 decades. And honestly, 4,000 murders in Chicago, and we have to listen to this man stand up and say that we're bad people. And the people of Chicago are walking around with MAGA hats. You have women, beautiful black women, walking around with MAGA hats. Please let the president in, and we don't care how he does it. They're not interested in National Guard or Army, Navy, bring them in, Marines, bring in the Marines. They just want the crime to stop. And more so because of the success that we had in D.C. I think if we didn't have that success, nobody would even believe it. So I want to congratulate all of the incredible law enforcement professionals joining us today, especially Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's terrific, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is a fantastic...
Let me just switch the shot real quick.
...legal talent. He really is. He's a great guy, too. And, of course, FBI Deputy Attorney General Kash Patel. Todd Blanche, who is a fantastic legal talent. He really is. He's a great guy, too. And, of course, FBI Director Kash Patel. They have worked so hard on this and other things. Since the start of the administration, the FBI has arrested over 23,000 violent criminals, more than double the number arrested in the final year of the Biden disaster. The FBI has also destroyed or severely disrupted more than 170 organized criminal enterprises and gangs, 1,600 of the most violent gangs, and confiscated over 6,000 illegal firearms. And they've tracked down and arrested 4 fugitives on the most wanted list, 4 of the most wanted. Actually, 2 of them were the most wanted fugitives in the world. There's still much more work to be done, which is why the FBI continues to work alongside the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of War to defend. And Pete Hegseth has been fantastic, by the way, on this too, on other things, but on this too, to defend law and order and combat violent crime, arrest illegal aliens, and make American cities the safest in the world. And when I campaigned, I talked about crime, but I never knew that we were going to get into it like we did. You know, I mean, I used to watch these cities with the murders. Chicago recently had one deal where they had 11 murders in one weekend, and they said, well, yeah, but it was a holiday weekend. They actually told me that was the reason, like it was okay because it was a holiday. It was Labor Day. These people are the worst. They really have to, they better, I tell you what, the people in Chicago and the people in places like that can be fixed. At some point, it gets to where you can't fix it anymore. It's too far gone. And we have some cities like that. But these are great cities that can be fixed. I'm going to be strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco. There's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess. And we have great support in San Francisco, so I'd like to recommend that for inclusion, maybe in your next group. You'll get great support. Every American deserves to live in a community where they're not afraid of being mugged, murdered, robbed, raped, assaulted, or shot. And that's exactly what our administration is working to deliver. I didn't realize I was going to make this such a big factor in the administration. I didn't really campaign. I campaigned on crime, but I never thought we'd go into every city and take a really safe city that we've all been living with for years and make them safe. And now it's like a passion for me, and it's a passion for the people behind me. So I didn't get elected. I did get elected for crime, but I didn't get elected for what we're doing. This is many, many steps above. And I want to thank Stephen Miller, who's right back in the audience right there. I'd love to have him. I love watching him on television. I'd love to have him come up and explain his true feelings, but maybe not his truest feelings. That might be going a little bit too far. But, Stephen, thank you for doing an unbelievable job. And the people of this country love you, I'll tell you, and they love what you say about crime and stopping crime. So now I'd like to ask Director Patel to say a few words, and then Pam and Todd also. And I just want to congratulate them. This is an amazing thing. And we're just at the start. We're going to go into other cities that we're not talking about purposely. We're getting ready to go in. And when they go in, like Kash, as an example, told me that people didn't even know. 5 months ago, they went into Chicago, and they started doing a lot of work in Chicago. And we brought the numbers down a little bit. And but that really was just preparatory work for what we're going to do with the surge. We're going to have a surge of strong, good people, patriots, and they're going to go in, they straighten it all out. So a lot of these cities we're already working on, but we don't do it with a big flavor. But in a little while, you're going to see some numbers that you're not going to believe. And I think you'll probably start with Memphis, because I'm hearing the numbers are much quicker than we even thought possible. But again, D.C. it speaks for itself. Chicago is going to be okay. We're going to save Chicago. And I told you, and I told them, a very respected man, the head of the Union Pacific, said, "Sir, save Chicago. It can be saved." And the way he said it, it was like, can you believe it? We're trying to save Chicago. But I understood exactly what he wants, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to save all of our cities, and we're going to make them essentially crime-free, like other countries have crime-free. If you go all over the world, you go to the world, you hear Afghanistan, and you hear all these different places. Our crime in certain cities is worse than anything they can even imagine. And we're not going to have that any longer. It's going to stop, and it stops right here. Kash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I'd like to do is just highlight some of the outstanding work that the men and women of the FBI have been doing. And thanks to your brave leadership and the mandate you were given by the American people not only defend the homeland but crush violent crime, you tasked us with our great partners at the Department of Justice and the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General to start making arrests and bring prosecutions and safeguard our cities. And you said it, this is just the beginning. In just 7 months, I hope the media takes a look at every one of these charts, because these are the best numbers for fighting crime in U.S. history, and it's only 7 months in. And to do that, our vehicle to do it of choice was Operation Summer Heat, which the FBI architected to go after violent criminals. And in just a 3-month span, you had 8,700 arrests of violent criminals. You had 2,200 firearms seized off the streets permanently to safeguard our communities. You had 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough to kill 55 million Americans alone. You had 45,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, and thanks to our Department of Justice partners, you had 2,100 indictments in 3 months, from June to September alone. Mr. President, that in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops, and you partnered us with the right people at the Department of Justice to put the handcuffs on and bring them to court and put them in prison. And if that weren't enough, when you look at the year, for the entire 7-month period that we're talking about here, if you look at the past 4 years of the Biden administration, 16,000, 17,000, 15,000, 15,000. That's the number of arrests year over year of violent felons in this country for the Biden administration. Mr. President, in 7 months, you have 28,600 arrests of violent felons in just 7 months alone, because of your leadership and the dedication of the men and women at the FBI who want to go out there and do the job they were prevented from doing, because that department used to be weaponized and politicized. And this is what happens when you take out the fangs of weaponization. This number is historic by every metric. 28,000 people have been arrested, violent felons alone. And then when you go over there and look at some of these charts, if you don't mind, I'll just hop over here. Look at the metrics for not just violent crime, but the homeland. Mr. President, during your administration, the FBI has found and located 5,400 children. That is a 30% increase year to date over the last administration. Violent crimes against children arrests alone are up 10%. Gang arrests are up 210% in the last 7 months alone. And transnational organized crime, which Stephen Miller has been a great partner in, is up over 12% alone. These numbers are historic just as a snapshot. But just so people don't think we're focusing on violent crime alone, the national security mission, Mr. President, under your leadership has never been stronger. We have gone after espionage activities against our main counterparts in China, Russia, and Iran. In China alone, we've had over a 50% increase in espionage arrests alone and prosecution. In Iran, we have had a 50% increase, again, in espionage cases. And in Russia, we've had a 33% increase in espionage cases alone. When it comes to counterterrorism, year to date, we have 125 arrests this year. versus 100 last year, year-to-date alone. And when it comes to the cyber criminal activities, which are some of the largest enterprises plaguing everyday Americans, we at the FBI have put out a mission to go after cyber criminals like never before. Last year, they had in total 191. This year, you already have 252 arrests. 52 arrests of violent cyber criminals who are stealing from senior citizens, who are violating our children's rights and freedoms, and who are violating everyday Americans. These programs are record. And two of the things I'll finish with that I'm most proud of, Mr. President, this FBI. Fentanyl. As you know, it's a scourge that is killing our youth, 100,000 plus a year. To date, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl. That's enough lethal doses to kill 127 million Americans alone, to date. And if that weren't enough, Mr. President, you said we have to go after the worst of the worst. And you empowered our Department of Justice, our Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and the Deputy Director at the FBI, led the charge, not just on summer heat, but he also led the charge to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. These people have been on the run for years. And in 7 months, you captured not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of the FBI's most top 10 fugitives. 4. And just to put that in perspective, Mr. President, the Biden administration captured 4 in all of 4 years. You're on 7, and we're going to get to 10. We're going to get to 10 of 10. This includes a lady who murdered her 6-year-old handicapped child and fled to India. We got her in 2 months. This includes a narco trafficker. This includes a sex trafficker. This includes another first-degree murder and gangbang. These people were on the run because of the prior administration's reckless policies that destroyed our communities. And you came in and with a mandate said, go after the worst of the worst. This is just the beginning. This is what happens when you let good cops be good cops at the FBI. Mr. President, I just want to thank you for your incredible leadership, our brave partnership with prosecutors who know how to bring cases and make sure these arrests stick. And that's what the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General have led the charge across this country. Because arrests without prosecutions are meaningless. We are deterring criminals from doing this activity. We are preventing criminals from coming into America. And we are absolutely crushing violent crime like never before and defending this homeland, sir. And not to mention, I almost forgot this one. It took you, sir, 2 weeks to get the Abbey Gate bomber. Joe Biden had 4 years to look for him. You got him in 2 weeks, thanks to the interagency effort by the FBI and the CIA, went to Pakistan, and now 13 brave warriors who were sentenced to murder because of disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. They have justice, their families have a peace of mind, and we're going to continue to find the others, Mr. President. On behalf of the FBI, sir, I just want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Gage. Great job. Very good. Very impressive. Pam, would you like to say something, please?
President Trump, the men and women of law enforcement say 2 things to me repeatedly. First, you have taken the handcuffs off them and let them do their jobs, and you let cops be cops. That's why all this is happening. The director, the deputy director are working around the clock. All of these great men and women in the FBI, they have families at home, and they are working during a government shutdown right now. Many of them have small children. Many of them, I was talking to an agent this morning, many of them have babies at home, and they are working around the clock to not only keep our country, but our world safe. And that's what Operation Summer Heat did. Thank you, Director, and to the Deputy Director for everything you did on behalf of the Department of Justice, and you're going to continue to keep doing. And they set the stage for what we're doing in Memphis. You're going to hear a lot more about that, our joint task force next week, but they set the stage for Memphis. And last night alone in Memphis, there were almost 70 arrests, there were 12 guns seized, and there was a 70-year-old man arrested as a result of our operation in Memphis who raped a child under the age of 3. That one case makes everything we're doing worthwhile. So thank you all for being here on behalf of both of us. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you. Todd, you want to say something?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. So this is a great day, and I think there's stats that the director talked about which are important, but I want to give 2 examples of what summer heat has done that actually will apply hopefully to everybody in this room. The first is for over 4 years during the last administration, there was a hotel in a town, the middle of a town in Alaska, that was being run as a drug den. There were over 1,000 calls to 911 over 4.5 year period. There were multiple violent crimes, drug dealers, overdoses, and murders at this one hotel, ruining a community. Summer Heat went in there, It's not only arrested all the participants that were controlling the hotel, but seized the hotel. And so that's one example of what summer heat means to everyday Americans that just want to live in peace. The second example is a large narcotics trafficking group that was selling fentanyl in the state of Washington. They were shipping fentanyl and using commercial aircraft, putting fentanyl pills and powder in suitcases, flying them from the southwest border, mostly Arizona, all the way to Washington. It had been going on for an extremely long time, and the entire organization was arrested. And I say those two examples because it's easy to look at the board and see 1,000 arrests. How much different is our communities now compared to the past 4 years? But there's actual life examples. Every one of these arrests means that our streets are safer, and that's because of the work of this administration, of President Trump and Director Patel. So I will tell you, Attorney General Bondi and I are together every day with Director Patel, figuring out ways that we can continue to do this work, and it's not going to stop. Like the Attorney General said, and like the President said, this is just the beginning, or phase one, or a start, whatever you want to say, but it will continue on. So thank you, Mr. President, and thank you very much, Director Patel.
And Mr. President, just one last thank you from the men and women at the FBI. You found a way to get these individuals paid during a government shutdown, our 1811 agents. So on behalf of the FBI, it's a great debt that we owe you, sir. They're now allowed to pay for their families, so thank you.
And the military. Good.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, please? Brian, go ahead.
First of all, I know the feedback I'm getting from the American people, but they want to say thank you. Law and order is not an option in this country. It's a mandate. So I know the American people thank you for that. In terms of the guns that have been taken off the street, do you have a number of how many guns were taken away from someone that had a prior felony or a previous crime that perhaps we can prosecute that? Because I know that wasn't the case under Joe Biden.
We don't take guns off the streets of people that are allowed to have guns. So every gun that we're taking off the street is because it belongs to somebody who is not allowed to have it. Could be a felon, could be somebody who hears illegally. There's all sorts of conditions. But if there's a gun taken off the streets by the FBI, it's because the person who has it is not allowed to. It's not somebody who's lawfully allowed to have it. So every single one of those guns were taken off of people that aren't allowed to have them.
And not including the FBI, all of the other agencies. ATF alone, since January 20th, has removed over 25,000 illegal guns off our streets, just since President Trump's been in office.
And Mr. President, if I could follow up on that, could there be any further conversation to have national concealed carry applied to actual DC? Like if you had a driver's license in Texas and you had a permit, of course you could drive.
Well, as you know, they've been talking about that for a long time. It's an interesting question. A lot of people feel strongly both ways, but we are talking about that, Brian. Thank you.
Mr. President, on Venezuelan boats, I want to ask you, why not have the Coast Guard stop them, which it is empowered by law to do? You know, this way you can confirm who's on the boat and ensure that they're doing what you suspect.
Because we've been doing that for 30 years, and it has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, I mean, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles. But we've been trying to do that for years, and so much of the drugs, 25–30%, would come in through the seas. Right now we have, I would say, none coming in through the seas. In fact, I don't know about the fishing industry. If you want to go fishing, a lot of people aren't deciding to even go fishing. We've almost totally stopped it by sea. Now we'll stop it by land.
What's the next
But
step?
it never worked. It never worked when you did it in a very politically correct manner.
What's the next step in this war on cartels, and are you considering options, are you considering strikes on land?
Well, I don't want to tell you exactly, but we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that, I view that as a good thing, not a bad thing. But we had tremendous amounts coming in by boats, by very expensive boats. You know, they have a lot of money, very fast, very expensive boats that were pretty big. And the way you look at it is every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population. Every boat is saving 25,000 lives, and you can see it. The boats get hit, and you see that fentanyl all over the ocean. It's like floating in bags. It's all over the place, and it's a tremendous. We're saving tremendous amounts of lives. Yeah,
Mr.
please.
President, on that issue,
I know you've talked about, I have a question for you, and then I also have a question for Director Patel. I know you talked about having some distaste for Boston recently. Is this one of those cities that you might be looking into, and can you give us a hint about other cities that you might be?
You're saying for
federal
where?
funds?
For where?
For Boston.
Yeah, well, Boston has a bad mayor who at least is a reasonable IQ person. You know, most of them are low IQ, but and they're so bad. I mean, what's going on in Chicago is just, you'd think the guy would say, hey, look, we have a problem, Mr. President. Could you come in and straighten it out? We could have that done in a month if we had their cooperation. It's going to be done anyway, but we could have it done in a month. Yeah, Boston, she's got 4 areas that are, wrong. And, somebody said, would we think about taking the World Cup away from Boston if they don't straighten it out? And the answer is yes. We have the right to do that with FIFA. So if we think that LA is going to be bad, or we think that applies a little bit to the Olympics too, but we'll talk about FIFA first. FIFA is very hot. If we think there's any reason that, whether it's Boston or anywhere else, that they're not doing their job, we're going to take those World Cup games and move them someplace else.
Thank you. And then Director Patel, there's been so many conspiracy theories swirling around about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Do you have any updates for us, especially in light of all the online content that everyone's been talking about?
The only thing we deal with at the FBI and the Department of Justice is facts, and we delivered in record speed a manhunt to capture Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin in 33 hours. And if you put that in perspective to Luigi Mangione or the Boston bomber, they took them 5 days and a police officer lost their life in their manhunt. We are running out absolutely every single lead, and the best thing we can do to honor my friend Charlie Kirk's life is to make sure that everyone involved is prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and that's what we're focused on, investigating the facts, not trading in conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Mr. President, thank you so much.
Thank you.
In light of China's export curbs on rare earths, do you view India as a reliable partner going forward? And are you planning to meet Prime Minister Modi in Malaysia? Are you open to talks in terms of
Yeah,
trade?
sure. He's a friend of mine. We have a great relationship. He just said that 2 days ago, as you know. We have a great relationship. No, we were not happy with him buying oil from Russia, because that lets Russia continue on with this ridiculous war where they've lost 1.5 million people, by the way. Russia's lost 1.5 million people, soldiers mostly. This is a war that should have never started, but it's a war that Russia should have won in the first week, and they're going into the 4th year. And I want to see it stop. So I was not happy that India was buying oil. And he assured me today that they will not be buying oil from Russia. That's a big stop. Now I got to get China to do the same thing. That is relatively easy compared to what we just did over the last week in the Middle East. Middle East was 3,000 years, and we got it done. This is 3 years, and I think we'll get it done. I think that President Putin, I think he wants to get it done. We'll see. There's a great animosity between him and Zelensky. You probably have noticed, right? And I think it's hurting the process. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Curious, why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged
Well, I can't
drug
do
busts in
that,
the
but
Caribbean?
I authorized for 2 reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. They came in through the border. They came in because we had an open border policy. And as soon as I heard that, I said, a lot of these countries, they're not the only country, but they're the worst abuser. And they've they've allowed thousands and thousands of prisoners, mental institution, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, emptied out into the United States. We're bringing them back, but that's a really bad, and they did it at a level that probably not, many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela. They were down and dirty. And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela. And a lot of the Venezuelan drugs come in through the sea, so you get to see that. But we're going to stop them by land also.
Does the CIA have authority to take out Maduro?
Oh, I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer? But I think Venezuela is feeling heat, but I think a lot of other countries are feeling heat too. We're not going to let this country, our country, be ruined because other people want to drop, as you say, their worst. They have given us their worst. They've loaded up our country with prisoners, with mentally ill people that are seriously ill, criminally ill, and we're not going to take it. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things. And I can tell you, we've taken care of the sea. There's nobody, and we're watching. We're watching. And if we see it, we'll save it. Yeah, please.
On the ships, though, sir, there are Republicans and Democrats up on the Hill concerned that in the briefings they've gotten about those attacks, they're not necessarily getting information about who was on them and what exactly was on those ships. Can you ensure that at
but
least
they are
lawmakers
given
will be told that?
information that they were loaded up with drugs, and that's the thing that matters. When they're loaded up with drugs, they're fair game. And every one of those ships they're not ships, they're boats, they're speedboats. They're extremely fast, record-setting type speedboats. They cost a lot of money, and they have a lot of money because they're drug sellers. But they know one thing, and they all have the same thing in common. There's drug dust. They call it drug dust. They call it fentanyl dust all over the boat after those bombs go off. And you can take along.
Attack them, though, that they're
We know before. We know when they go out. We know we have much information about each boat that goes out. Deep, strong information. Yeah, please.
Sir, you're going to have Vladimir Zelensky here this week. What is your message at this stage of the war for him? And shy of tomahawks.
To who is that?
For Zelensky.
Yeah.
And shy of tomahawks for Ukraine. Are you considering other options, and will you speak with Vladimir Putin about
No,
that?
we're looking at other options. We are. President Zelensky's coming in. I'm not a fan of the war. I'm not a fan of the way it started. It should have never happened. It wouldn't have started if I were president. The election was rigged. And because of that, we lost a lot of lives have been lost because of that war. Not American lives, but if I can save a lot of lives, that's why I'm in it. I want to save lives. I've had 8 wars. The Prime Minister of Pakistan got up the other day, said so beautifully, he says, you saved millions of lives. He told that to a group of people right in this office. He said the president saved millions of lives. And I think what he's referring to is the fact that that would have been with India, a nuclear war. That was getting very close. 7 planes, they don't talk about it, but 7 aircraft were shot down. In fact, we have the new ambassador to India right here. They're well represented. You better represent us, not them, okay? Yeah. But Sergio's going to do a great job. He's going to do a great job. But no, we'll be talking about the war with him, and we'll be talking about, they want to go offensive. I'll make a determination on that, but they would like to go offensive, you know that, and we'll have to make a determination.
Can I follow up the question? Given you have the FBI Director and Attorney General here today, Jim Jordan has asked Jack Smith to appear in front of the House Judiciary.
You mean deranged, Jack? He's a deranged individual, yeah.
He's asked him to
well, they should. I'm surprised it takes so long. Right. We're talking about violent crime. What about the crime against a political opponent? That's what we have to talk about, too.
Jordan would like to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. What do you think the committee will find out, Mr. Smith?
I think it was the worst weaponization of a political opponent in the history of the world, let alone this country. And I hope that everybody's, they're involved in it. I'm not. I'm the one that had to suffer through it and ultimately win. But what they did was criminal. Deranged Jack Smith, in my opinion, is a criminal. And I noticed his interviewer was, I think that was Weissman. And I hope they're going to look into Weissman, too. Weissman's a bad guy. And he had somebody in Lisa, who was his puppet, worked in the office really as the top person. And I think that she should be looked at very strongly. There was tremendous criminal activity having to do. If we don't have fair elections in this country, we're not going to have a country. And I've said it from the beginning, fair elections and borders. And we need also fair press, because if you don't have fair press, it's very tough. And we've got the strongest border of anybody. Nobody has a border. We have a border where the numbers just came out again. You saw 0 people came in illegally. Now, we do take people into our country legally, but 0 people. But, you're talking about a different subject. You're talking about political crime. They have committed massive political crime. I hope they're looking at Shifty Schiff. I hope they're looking at all these people. And I'm allowed to find out. I'm allowed to, I'm, in theory, the chief law enforcement officer. But I have a very good, talented group. This is about something else. But I hope they're looking at political crime, because there's never been so much political crime against a political opponent as what I had to go through. They raided my house in Florida. It was an illegal raid. I have a lawsuit that was doing very well, and when I became president, I said, I'm sort of suing myself. I don't know, how do you settle the lawsuit? I'll say, give me X dollars, right? And I don't know what to do with the lawsuit. It's a great lawsuit, and now I won. It sort of looks bad. I'm suing myself, right? So I don't know, but that was a lawsuit that was very strong, very powerful. They raided illegally my house in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. They went through the drawers of my young son. They went through all of the cabinets and drawers of the First Lady. She walked in, she said, wow, what happened? Because she's very meticulous, and this wasn't so meticulous. As she looked into the drawers and she saw everything a mess. What they did against a person that just got out of office. And then you look at these corrupt people. You look at Hunter Biden. You look at the signature. As an example, the Europen. I just signed so many different things. An admiral, a four-star general. I'm signing them left and right, the commissions. And by the way, I want to compliment John Thune. And also Mike, our great speaker. But John Thune, all of a sudden I'm getting these things by the hundreds. I was getting one every 2 weeks. It would have been 4 years before you got them in more. You would have had some that didn't even get in, all because of Democrat obstruction. So John Thune did a great job. I must have signed 200 into the administration. We're just about caught up. It's amazing. And so compliments to John. He had to do some things that were very tough to do that he didn't want to do, but he was forced to do it by the Democrats. And as far as the shutdown's concerned, this is a Democrat Schumer shutdown. And he's trying to do it to get relevance back into the party because he's a loser. I've known him all his life. He's always been sort of a loser, but an intelligent one. But I think he's losing IQ points with time. I think that happens. I hope it hasn't happened with me. I know if it did, you guys will let me know about it very quickly.
Question on violent crime, sir. Here in D.C., a judge has given the two teenagers that beat up ex-Doge staffer Big Balls probation.
It's incredible.
And no jail time. Is this justice?
Jeanine Pirro is doing a fantastic job, and she is beside herself because you have these radical left judges that they beat the hell out of this guy. And there was many people against this one guy who was really trying to protect his girlfriend. He didn't want his hooded over the door but they really beat him up badly. That just happened, right? Yes. Wow, that's terrible. I think the judge should be ashamed of himself. That's a big problem. You know, they can do their job and then they go into a court and the people are protected by these, I don't know where they come from. Where do these people come from? Where do the judges come from? I want to compliment on behalf of Pam and Todd and all of us because, Kash, I think that Jeanine has done a fantastic job. And the case I heard was like flawless. It's a flawless case. They have them on tape. They have everything. And then a judge gives them a little probation. These are rough guys. And they're young. And if that happens, they're going to grow up. They're going to be real bad. They're going to cause a lot of problems. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
So, Sergey Bohr has just gotten back from India.
Right.
What were the conversations like with Prime Minister Modi and the other?
I think they were great. He reported to me that he's a great man, you know. Modi is a great man. That he loves Trump. Now, I don't know if the word love, I don't want you to take that any different. I don't want to destroy his political career, okay? But you have to understand, I've watched India for years. It's an incredible country. And every single year you'd have a new leader. I mean, some would be in there for a few months. And this was year after year after year. And my friend has been there now for a long time, and he's assured me there will be no oil purchased from Russia. I don't know, maybe that's a breaking story. Can I say that? Would you say? There will be no oil. He's not buying his oil from Russia. It started. You know, you can't do it immediately. It's a little bit of a process, but the process is going to be over with soon. And all we want from President Putin is stop killing Ukrainians and stop killing Russians, because he's killing a lot of Russians. Again, it doesn't make him look good. It's a war that he should have won in 1 week, and he's now going into his 4th year. That does not make this big so-called war machine look good. But he could make a settlement. We're willing to settle. I thought we had a deal. The hatred of the two leaders is very, it's an obstacle. It's an obstacle. There's no question about it. But I thought we had a deal 2 months ago. Who would think I created peace in the Middle East and can't get the two guys to settle? But I think we'll get them. But if India doesn't buy oil, it makes it much easier. And they're not going to buy. They assured me they will, within a short period of time, they will not be buying oil from Russia. And they'll go back to Russia after the war's over. Jennifer?
On the shutdown, sir, are FBI officials being paid right now? Are all the FBI employees being paid? And are all the
Well, that's what I understand. I hope so.
Thanks to your great work, Mr. President, the 1811 special agents at the FBI are going to receive their paychecks.
Got a lot of people paid, actually.
in the whole intelligence
We have the
community?
people that we want paid, okay? And we want the FBI paid, we want the military paid. We got the people that we want paid. And I'll tell you, the Democrats, they don't talk about this. You know, we're getting rid of programs that we didn't like, but that were negotiated in, but we didn't like. We're terminating those programs, and they're going to be terminated on a permanent basis. And it's thousands of people, and it's billions of dollars. We're getting rid of a lot of things that we never wanted because of the fact that they made this stupid move. And they don't want to talk about it. You know, they have their day coming up. I hear very few people are going to be there, by the way. But they have their day coming up, and they want to have their day in the sun. But they should really make a deal. So what we're doing, I mean, they call him Darth Vader, but he's actually a very nice person, Russell Vogt. But Russell Vogt is really terminating tremendous numbers of Democrat projects. There's not only jobs, I mean, the project in Manhattan, the project in New York, it's billions and billions of dollars that Schumer has worked 20 years to get. It's terminated. Tell him it's terminated, Jennifer. All right.
On Hamas, sir, what is your understanding of the pace of returning the deceased hostages? Are you pleased?
Well,
with
they're
that
looking
pace?
for them. Absolutely, they're looking. So we have the living hostages all back. They returned some more today. It's a gruesome process. I almost hate to talk about it. But they're digging. They're actually digging. There are areas where they're digging and they're finding a lot of bodies. Then they have to separate the bodies. You wouldn't believe this. And some of those bodies have been in there a long time. And some of them are under rubble. They have to remove rubble. But there are graves, and some are in tunnels that died in tunnels that are way down under the earth. And the tunnels are like 3 feet. Can you believe it? 3 feet high. They lived like this for a long period of time. It's a horrible atrocity. At the same time, we, meaning Israel, but I knew everything they were doing pretty much. I knew most of the things they were doing, but they've killed probably 70,000 of these people, Hamas. And I said, it's time now. So we'll see what happens. We'll also see what happens. Your next question is going to be the weapons. We want the weapons to be given up, sacrificed, and they've agreed to do it. Now they have to do it, and if they don't do it, we'll do it.
We had the head of CENTCOM today suggest that Hamas needs to hurry up and disarm and follow your comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
That it was the head of CENTCOM saying that. Is that not a signal to Hamas, to the rest of the world, that at some point the U.S. military may more directly engage?
We won't need the U.S. military. We won't need it.
Why not just you?
Because we're very much involved in it. If we weren't involved, there wouldn't be peace. If we didn't destroy the nuclear capability of Iran, that deal would have never happened for two reasons. The Arab nations would not have felt bold enough to do it because you have a very powerful, at that time, Iran. It's not powerful anymore between what Israel and us did, because, the attack was, if you look at it, we helped them very much. They will be the first to tell you, including shooting down thousands of drones that were coming into Israel. We shot them down. We were shooting them down like it was target practice, but we shot down thousands of drones and missiles also going into Israel. But between what we did to Iran that way with the, conventional, we will call it, and what see that beautiful plane, that B-2, I noticed it on the desk. I always thought it was beautiful, but I never understood it. Now I understand it. It took in hundreds of thousands of bombs in the form of two, but hundreds of thousands of pounds of bombs. And every single bomb hit perfectly. Then they sent Tomahawks in. They sent 30 Tomahawks on top of it. And that was totally, CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as Trump said, because I said obliterated. Obliterated is not a strong enough word, actually. And you saw the Atomic Energy Commission came out and said the word obliteration is very, very... Think of it. They came in under potential fire. They entered Iran airspace late at night, in the dark, no moon. The moon was low for a reason. What time we picked it. Couldn't see anything. And they hit every target, and they weren't hit. Nobody saw that plane. That plane is stealth. Nobody saw it. The problem with that is it may be stealth today, but tomorrow it won't be. And we just ordered about 20 brand new B-2 bombers. It's unbelievable as a weapon. I know Putin, when I was riding with him in Alaska, we passed a lot of them. And he said, that really did the trick. I said, yeah, it did. It's amazing. The flying wing.
But you still foresee no reason for the U.S. military to get involved in Gaza?
No, I don't see that. No, I think we're going to handle it very well. We'll be helping Israel. But we have other countries that are now. You know, we signed, many countries signed. And many of those countries relatively are very strong military powers. And Hamas has no support. See, Hamas had the support of Iran. And now Iran says, don't get us involved. The last time they got them involved didn't work out too well. So they used to have the support of Iran. Today, Iran they're trying to survive. You know, when I heard the reports 2 weeks ago, Iran's looking to build a nuclear weapon, I said, don't worry about it. They got a lot of things they want to do before nuclear weapons. I said, the last thing they want to do is a nuclear weapon. It didn't work out. And if they did a nuclear weapon before they got even close, that site would be attacked and it would be wiped out. Yeah.
Mr. President, you're meeting with President Xi in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If you can't come to an agreement or a deal at that meeting, are we in for a sustained trade war with China?
Well, you're in one now. Look, we have 100% tariff. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be exposed as being a nothing. We would have no defense. You know, they've used tariffs on us, but we've never had anybody sitting in that chair that felt the need to do it. And they've allowed us to be $37 trillion in debt, et cetera, et cetera. Tariffs are a very important tool for our defense, for our national security. If we don't have tariffs, we're not going to have national security. As an example, if you look at Pakistan and Iran, I told them I was in the midst of negotiating a trade deal with Iran, and Pakistan was going to be in line. And because of tariffs, they all want to negotiate much differently. We're making a good deal. And then I heard that they're shooting at each other. And I said during one of my conversations, are you guys going to go to war? 2 nuclear powers we are thinking about. I said, here's the deal. You go to war, I'm going to put a 200% tariff. I'm going to stop you from doing any business in the United States. I said it to both of them. Within 24 hours, the war ended. That would have been a nuclear war. And again, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who was here 2 weeks ago, said that man saved many millions of lives in front of a whole group of people because he thought it was going to be war. But when it came to war or having to pay massive tariffs, the tariffs overrode. That's why it's so important. Not only the money, we're taking in trillions of dollars, not only the money, the power to keep peace, the power to be used for good is enormous. But a lot of people didn't understand tariffs. It's also made us very rich. We have a big case coming up in the Supreme Court, and I will tell you, that's one of the most important cases in the history of our country. Because if we don't win that case, we will be a weakened, troubled, financial mess for many, many years to come. I don't even know if survivable is a good term. And if we do, we're going to be the most powerful economic country in the world. And all we're doing is using them as a defense against what took place for many years. China would charge us tariffs. It was incredible, but we weren't allowed to charge. And we're allowed to do whatever we want. We just had presidents that didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And it was nothing. But of the 8 wars, I was saying 7, of the 8 wars, I would say tariffs are directly responsible for me ending 6 of them, 5 or 6. Without the tariffs, you have wars raging all over the world. With the tariffs, other than Russia, we have no wars out there. And we've made a lot of good friends, too. Tariffs are so important to our national security. If we don't have tariffs, we don't have national security. Our country would suffer a level that, because they're used so strongly on us. As an example, the European Union. They won't take our cars. They won't take our agriculture. They won't take anything, but they send their cars in, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, by the millions. We don't send any cars. They don't take them. They were tariffing us out. Agricultural products, they don't take our agriculture. They want their farmers to do it. I understand that. But it was very unfair, and they were tariffing our product. They're keeping out by using tariffs. And we didn't use them, but I used them. And now we made one of the great deals with your $650 billion they pay us. And we've evened it out. It's really a good thing to see. And you have to understand, they've all signed. Japan, South Korea. I mean, South Korea, $350 billion up front. Japan, $650 billion. And they've all agreed to it. They're all happy. But before, it was a total ripoff. And if we don't have the use of tariffs, we have no national security. This country will have no financial security, will not have national security. And the people that brought the lawsuit are people that are aligned with foreign nations that are now being treated fairly as opposed to just ripping us off and ripping us asunder. So, but if we are not allowed to use what other people use against us, there's no defense. It'll be a disaster for America. That's why I think I'm going to go to the Supreme Court to watch it. I've not done that, and I had some pretty big cases. I think it's one of the most important cases ever brought, because we will be defenseless against the world. Okay?
You'll go to the tariff case?
Did you have one? Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to ask you about the Georgia Senate race. I know it's very early, but there's several Republicans in that field that are vying for your endorsement.
A lot of good people in that field.
Yes.
I know all of them, actually. I haven't made a decision on that, but you have some very good people in the Georgia Senate race.
Well, Governor Trump has endorsed...
No, I know. The governor has it. He's spoken to me about it a lot. He likes that candidate a lot. And I understand that. I haven't made a decision yet. But I'm following that race very carefully. I think it's very important for Georgia to get a real senator, because the senator they have now is a horrible senator. He allows all the crime, all the borders. You have open borders. I mean, his whole philosophy is a disaster. That's not representative of the people of Georgia. I know the people of Georgia. I won Georgia 3 times, but they say twice. Okay, I won it very big the last time, and I won it big the first time, and I won it big the second time, but we had criminals that didn't allow. I mean, I hope they're going to go into that. I hope they go into the votes which are being stored in Fulton County and take a real look at those votes, okay? Because I won it the second time too. But I know Georgia very well. I love Georgia. Those people are great, and they deserve a good senator, because the man they have now is a weak, ineffective person. Okay.
Mr. President,
by the way, you won Georgia 3 times.
I agree. Do you agree with me?
I
and
do.
He's the media.
For someone that
spends
a lot of time in Georgia, I believe you won that. Okay. I really have a question about...
The word believe isn't strong enough, right?
Yeah,
you know.
There you go.
It's true. I know I won too. We have the great Newt Gingrich. Newt, you agree with us? Good. Otherwise, I'd have him dismissed immediately from the room. You know, his wife, as you know, is becoming an ambassador to a great country, Callista. So congratulations. So we're going to take a picture. And the only reason I'm doing it, he speaks so well of me. He said, I'll go down as the greatest president in history. And then he blew it. He said, I'm not sure if I put him above Washington or Lincoln. So I'm not that happy about that, dude.
I've got a question about the weaponization of the DOJ. The media often says your department is weaponizing the DOJ.
Yeah, that's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Todd, you represented President Trump and probably the greatest weaponization of the DOJ by Alvin Bragg. You know firsthand, if you could describe what you saw under the Biden administration and how they weaponized the DOJ.
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to describe what happened those last 4 years against President Trump. Alvin Bragg, a local prosecutor, his office staffed by somebody from New Jersey. Jack Smith, picked as a special counsel, staffs his entire office with DOJ prosecutors. And then there are countless things that happen. All in writing, most of them on the docket, that require no explanation except a complete abomination of the place that the Attorney General is right now and the director itself. So when people talk about this department weaponizing, it's embarrassing.
Because there's no scenario in which you can look at what we're doing, restoring justice, doing the right thing in every single case, and say that that's weaponization, and yet remain eerily silent about what happened for the past 3 years. I mean, you read these articles and giggle, because it cannot be true that people really think that what they did to him, not once, not twice, I'm still counting 3, 4 times, but we're the ones that are weaponizing. So this man is not weaponizing the Department of Justice. We're not weaponizing the Department of Justice. It's the opposite. I mean, and also, nobody questions what I'm saying because it's true, because we all lived the past 4 years. So listen.
They never want to bring up the details, but I watch the fake news, and oh, he's weaponized, and he wants to send them to prison. He wants all this. They indicted me like 5 times. I took a mug shot. Who would have thought it turned out to my favor? Because it was a good shot. But I had to take a mug shot. It's right out there on the door. New York Post, front page of every paper in the world. I had a mug shot. They wanted to send me, nobody says that. They say, he's acting very, very tough. He's acting unfair. Let me tell you, if they've been nice to anybody, it's to those criminals, because they are so good having to do with all of the things we're talking about today with violent crime. But if anything, I think this Justice Department has been so respectful of the law, because the other Justice Department, with Rita or Lisa and all of that scum, real scum, what they did to the political opponent of a guy that has a seriously low IQ. Now, in his case, it was low based on his career, but it got real low, okay? It was descending rapidly. But what they did to go after his political opponent is legendary, worse than any third world country, banana republic. And what we're doing is nothing. Are you kidding? Nothing. They write stories. Why aren't they doing this? And we'll leave. I don't have to leave it up to them, but I choose to at this moment at least. But there's never been anybody treated in the history of politics. You know, they say the 2 worst treated presidents by the media, etc., was that man right there, the late, great Abraham Lincoln, and this guy right there, Andrew Jackson. They say Andrew Jackson was treated terribly. They give him number 1 and number 2, but that was before I came along, Newt. I say I have number 1 times 10. Nobody's been treated like I've been treated. And I did a great job. You know, we had a great first term. And we had one of the most successful economies in history, et cetera. I rebuilt the military. We did a tremendous amount. The last part, we had a horrible thing called COVID, and we handled that well. We made ventilators for nations all over the world. We did a great job. Probably never get credit for it. Look at the therapeutics, the Regeneron, all the different things, the vaccines, all the things we did. We did a great job, but we had to focus on that. But we had the best economy in the history of our country. We're blowing it away right now. Look at the stock market. It hit another all-time high today. That's 48 days out of the few days that I've served. 48 days have already hit record highs. And we have, maybe most importantly, the number, we have now, I was saying 17, it's over $18 trillion is being poured into our country. It's because of the election and because of tariffs. Without the tariffs, you wouldn't have probably 18 cents. It's because of the tariffs, because there are no tariffs if they build in our country. And they understand that. So we have medical companies coming over. We have the AI. We're dominating China in AI. Everybody said that's impossible. We're dominating. I'm letting these massive plants build their own electric generating plants. They're becoming utilities in addition to everything. Maybe they'll make more money with that, who knows? But they're building their own electric because we have an old grid. You wouldn't be able to do that. And we're dominating China. We're dominating with AI, which seems to be the new big thing. That's the new internet. That's the new whatever. So we're very happy with the job we're doing. I'm very happy with the job they're doing. But when you tell me about attacking a political opponent, there's never been. And I'm a legitimate opponent. I watch my son. He's got the #1 best-selling book now. My son, Eric, is a wonderful kid. That guy spent so much time with subpoenas. He got more subpoenas than anybody in the history of our country. Think of it. And he's an innocent, good boy. He's a good kid. He's always been a good kid. All of my children are good. They went through hell. My children went through federal grand juries on a hoax. Think of it. You have Adam Schiff and Hillary Clinton and others make up a hoax and then wanting to put, so they know it's a hoax, and they go before the press, say Donald Trump Jr. will go to jail because of what he's done with Russia. I'll never forget, I get a call from my son Don, and he said, Dad, I'm being accused of something with Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. He didn't know anything about, think of it, how bad they are. They say he'll go to prison for the rest of his life. He knew nothing about it. On a hoax, the Russian hoax, Russia hoax, on a story that they made up. And they made it up in order to explain why Hillary Clinton lost an election that she lost by pretty good numbers. The second one, actually the second one was even better, but the third one, this one was too big to rig. It was just too big to rig. They would have rigged, they tried to rig it. But think of it, they want to send my children to jail, but they were after Don in particular. I'll never forget Adam Shifty Schiff, a total crooked guy, lying in Congress, making up a phone conversation that I have with you, totally made up. Then when he heard it was taped, he wanted to disappear. And Nancy Pelosi went crazy because they wanted to impeach me based on the conversation that was made up. When they heard the tape, everybody, I won it unanimously in the Republican Party. I got every single vote, something that never happens, and I beat it. But think of it, they want to put my son in jail for something that they made up. So they know they made it up. And they say he will serve the rest of his life in prison. These are sick, bad people. And don't tell me about us going after them. If anything, we've been very, very soft. I wouldn't be that soft, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's talk. Thank you very much. It's going to be Bill.
All right, hold on. I still have the other camera. Look, it's the other camera, but they're getting kicked out. They're getting kicked out now. That was it. We had the other camera for 5 extra seconds. Okay. Well, so there weren't really any during the actual that was the press conference with President Trump and Kash Patel. It was mostly a President Trump press conference, and the initial part before the Q&A was basically Trump and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche talking about how well federal law enforcement was doing with Operation Summer Heat and in general. And then the Q&A was mostly not about that. The Q&A was mostly President Trump taking questions about various topics. I did find it interesting. He was asked why the CIA has been authorized to go into Venezuela, which I think was a question referring to a New York Times report from today. And he did say that it was true, although I don't know, that's what he said. The New York Times today has a story, Trump authorization authorizes covert CIA action in Venezuela. It doesn't say they're going to actually go in, but he did say it was true. Also, something else that was interesting is when he was asked about Venezuela, he did say that we've stopped the drugs coming in from water and we're gonna stop them on land. A couple times he said that, I noticed, when talking about Venezuela. He said, we're gonna stop them by land also. So, if the U.S. military starts conducting strikes on what they say are cartel targets on the soil of Latin American countries, that will be a huge deal. But several times President Trump said, we're going to stop it. We're going to stop it by land. So I thought that was newsworthy. I think most of you would probably agree there were not like any in the law enforcement section before the Q&A. I don't know that there was any kind of new big announcement. It was more kind of a promoting the what they called the very good performance of the federal law enforcement. But then there were a bunch of questions about all kinds of things. So I'm going to take some of your comments right now. I didn't know if there was going to be some big new announcement when this press conference was announced. Also, it was billed as a press conference with Trump and Kash Patel, but the vast majority of questions were for Trump. All right, let me take some comments from you guys. You never know what you're going to get. Let's see here. Walla Walla says he seemed like he was in a bad mood. He's usually so loving and pleasant. That's what our viewer Walla Walla said. Paula Thompson thinks it would be declaring war on countries to target drug organizations on Latin American soil. Well, the U.S. has declared some of them terrorist groups. Also, the U.S., I believe Trump has said that the U.S. is in armed conflict with these groups. So as to the legality of that, that's a whole... I'm not a law expert, but international law expert. Some have questioned whether the strikes on the boats are legal by international law. So I'm guessing there might be similar questions if Trump were to launch strikes on Latin American soil. Then there's the question of whether they need to be approved by Congress and all that, but that's a whole other thing. We'll have to see what happens with that. Billy Joe says presidents can't declare war. President Trump said he might go to the Supreme Court to watch the arguments about the tariff case. He was talking about how important the case about the legality of his tariffs is. And there's a case coming up where they're going to rule on the legality of, I think it's most of the Trump tariffs. But he said he may actually go to the Supreme Court to watch it, he said, which he said he hadn't done before. He also said that Ukraine wants to go offensive on Russia. There's talk of the U.S. possibly giving Tomahawk long-range missiles to Ukraine to use. But he did say a couple times that he said Ukraine wants to go offensive. Hey, a quick thanks, by the way, I want to just thank a couple people, and then I want to take some more comments from you guys. The Ringa X, thanks for being a member. Will Wallace, thanks for your support. I Am Charlie, our members, All That's Random, Angry Tacos, and Eddie C. Christine, thank you, Christine, so much. I think I didn't thank Christine before. Thank you, Christine. Ed Weeby, thank you. Willie Rock from Sweden. And Tech Wizard, Lunar Waltz, Kimby, Chip Whitley, thanks for being members. And also Wavy Bay, thanks for subscribing. Tom B, thanks for subscribing. Velcronius, thanks for subscribing. Also, thanks to our moderators who are here and have been here. We've had a lot of people in the chat. Ruth Krafasi over on YouTube, thank you. Roberts May Queen. Also on Facebook, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, Charlotte Webb, thanks so much. Linda Bell, Larry, and Misha on X, on Twitch. Bash and Girl, the Bears, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai, 3, Sarah, Riff Tracks, and Surly Div. Let me take some more comments from you. Let me know what you thought of the press conference. Antonio Caniano mentioned that Alert Page, who I follow. Sorry, oops, that's an old video there. Alert Page, who I follow, mentioned they had heard about a shooting where at least 2 shooting victims were shot at, they said, a Walmart in Evergreen Park, Illinois. I'll have to check in on that. They posted that on Alert Page, at Alert Page, about 20 minutes ago. I don't even know if it was in the Walmart or outside the Walmart, if that happened. I'm not sure. I don't really have any good updates on that right now, more than what I just told you. Our viewer, Eric Lasson, thinks it would not be a good look for the president to sit on a Supreme Court hearing. Is that what Eric said? Or argument? Hearing is what Eric said. Per Kayla says, Trump has a dinner tonight. Will that be live? Now, I won't be covering it, but if I can look up on the schedule, I'm looking up on the schedule here. If I can find it. Where is that? That would have been last night. Trying to find the schedule. President Trump is hosting a ballroom dinner tonight at 7:30 p.m. and it says White House press pool. So if you follow White House social media, they may have video from the dinner. Elliot Polak says, what is there for Trump to stop by land when his administration claims the border is sealed? That's what Elliot says. Well, I think, he says they're trying to stop drugs coming into the U.S. from the source. So he did say they're going to start trying to stop it on land. Thank you, I Am Charlie. Hey, for all your support. Thanks so much to I Am Charlie for your support. Let's see. Read a few more comments about the press conference. He claimed that India was not going to be buying more Russian oil. He said that when these boats have been struck by the U.S. military, the boats from Venezuela, he said that you see that fentanyl floating all over the ocean. He did say that. Now, I don't know enough about what fentanyl looks like on the ocean to have seen that myself. But he did say that. He said, you see that fentanyl floating all over the ocean. He also said you don't need to worry about reports that Iran is developing a nuclear weapon. And he said if they were close, then that site would be taken out. I don't know what the exact wording he used at the end there was, but that's the basic idea of what he said. Shelley thinks you would not see fentanyl. Its doses in micrograms. Barry says India does best. What's best for India? The U.S. should do the same. And let me just see if I have any updates from anything that came out during that press conference. Oh, AP reports journalists begin leaving Pentagon after refusing to sign Trump administration agreements on rules of access. One of our viewers just mentioned that too. Let me mention that real quick. Here's a little update from AP. We're not going to get deep into it right now because it's a bit off topic, but journalists turn in access badges, exit Pentagon rather than agree to new reporting rules. Dozens of reporters turned in access badges and exited the Pentagon today rather than agree to government-imposed restrictions on their work, pushing journalists who cover the American military further from the seat of its power. The U.S. government has called the new rules common sense. News outlets were nearly unanimous in rejecting new rules imposed by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that would leave journalists vulnerable to expulsion if they sought to report on information, classified or otherwise, that had not been approved by Hegseth for release. Many of the reporters waited to leave together at a 4 p.m. deadline set by the Defense Department to get out of the building. As the hour approached, boxes of documents lined a Pentagon corridor, and reporters carried chairs, a copying machine, books, and old photos to the parking lot from the suddenly abandoned workspaces. Shortly after 4, about 40 to 50 journalists left together after handing in their badges. Reporting on U.S. military affairs will continue from a greater distance. This is a picture of members of the media packing up their belongings. You can see on the AP story, you have members of the media packing up their belongings before in the press area of the Pentagon before leaving. Oh, I have a video on this. Hey, let's watch this. I actually have a video on this topic. I know it's a little off topic, but let's watch a video about the Pentagon thing. So, hey, and also here is a little summary here from Reuters. U.S. news outlets reject Pentagon press access policy. At least 30 news organizations declined to sign a Pentagon access policy, a new Pentagon access policy for journalists, warning of the potential for less comprehensive coverage of the world's most powerful military ahead of a Tuesday deadline to accept new restrictions. The policy requires journalists to acknowledge new rules on press access, including that they could be branded security risks and have their badges revoked, their Pentagon press badges revoked, if they ask department employees to disclose classified and some types of unclassified information. Among the outlets that have refused to sign the new regulations are Reuters, Associated Press, Bloomberg, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, CNN, Fox News, CBS, NBC, APC, NPR, Axios, Politico, The Guardian, The Atlantic, The Hill, Newsmax, Breaking Defense, and Task and Purpose. The rules, which followed negotiations with Pentagon officials in recent weeks, threaten to violate protections for the press under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution by regulating routine attempts by reporters to seek newsworthy information and documents from sources, said a lawyer familiar with the negotiations with the Pentagon. The requirement that reporters acknowledge that disclosure of sensitive information could harm U.S. national security could aid prosecutors if they sought to charge a reporter for disclosing defense information under the Espionage Act, the lawyer added. One America News, conservative cable outlet, did sign on to the new policy. Yes, Fox News and Newsmax did not sign on to the new policy. Washington Post says the policy prohibits journalists from accessing or soliciting information the Defense Department doesn't make available for them. Again, the policy prohibits journalists from accessing or asking for information the Defense Department doesn't make available for them, and revokes Pentagon press credentials from those who will not sign on. The new rules have drawn an anguished chorus of detractors from across the ideological spectrum since they were announced last month. Anyways, that's happening. Okay, guys, let's see here. It is 11:02 p.m. where I am. I should mention when I was talking about that policy, President Trump yesterday said he supported the new Pentagon rules. He said, I think that Secretary Hegseth finds the press to be very disruptive in terms of world peace. The press is very dishonest. Jack Keane, a retired U.S. Army general and Fox News analyst, said on Fox News that what the Pentagon is really doing, they want to spoon-feed information to the journalist, and that would be their story. That's not journalism, said Jack Keane on Fox News. This is from the AP article. Anyways, we'll see if those reporters who left today end up at some point going back. I'm in Madrid still. I'm going to be here a little while longer. So my time is different from people in the U.S. It is 11:04 here. So I think we are going to start wrapping up this live stream. If you missed it, we brought you live coverage of the Trump Kash Patel press conference. We did not know what it was going to be about when it started. We didn't know if there was going to be any super big, any huge announcements. I don't think there were really any huge announcements. But we got to cover it anyway, and see. And President Trump took Trump took a bunch of questions about different things, so we got to see that. And look, if there is more news, if there's more big news, we will cover it while I'm here. Where is this thing? Hold on. I might want to mention one more thing. Even though I said I'm wrapping up, I might want to mention one more thing. Where is it here? Oh, see, this is what I mentioned to you. Remember I said that the New York Times today reported that the CIA had been authorized to carry out covert action in Venezuela. They said, the Times did say that that it is not known whether the CIA is planning any operations in Venezuela, but the New York Times said the Trump administration has secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela. So President Trump was asked about this. He said, the question was, why did you approve this? And he said he approved it. So you can see Reuters says Trump confirms CIA authorization in Venezuela. Reuters says, President Trump confirmed reports today that he authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations in Venezuela, marking a sharp escalation in U.S. efforts to pressure President Nicolas Maduro's regime. The New York Times first reported the classified directive, citing U.S. officials familiar with the decision. Trump said he authorized the action for two main reasons. First, he said Venezuela has been releasing large numbers of prisoners into the United States, which is something he's been saying for, I believe, years, at least since the campaign. The second reason he said was the large amount of drugs entering the U.S. from Venezuela, much of it trafficked by sea. Now, I will say this. It's possible that Trump didn't know about the New York Times report, and he heard the question, and it's possible that Trump did not mean to confirm this new information. Maybe Trump thought he was being asked about something that was already well known about. So, in theory, you could have the White House come out later and say, he didn't mean to confirm that. He wasn't confirming the New York Times report. The question was confusing, they might say, or whatever. So I'd be careful about this, because he was asked about it and he kind of just said, yeah, and he kind of blew by it, saying the yes. He didn't make a big deal of confirming it, but he might have not realized when he was asked it that the question was referring to this New York Times report, which had just come out. So I don't know I wouldn't be surprised personally if the White House kind of walked that back a bit, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. So I did want to mention that. Anyways, look, we will. If there's Lizzie says Maduro has destroyed Venezuela. Obviously, if there's U.S. military action on Latin American soil, we will certainly cover that. All right, so I'm going to start wrapping up this live stream because we covered the press conference. But again, I'm here for a little bit longer, but if there's big news, I'll do my best to get on the air. And so if you want, subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. And I would suggest turning on the notifications. I don't know when huge new news is going to happen. It could happen at any time. So if you want to not miss a broadcast, if you want to know when we're going on the air to stream live to cover breaking news, turn on our free notifications. We have our own notification system. It works awesome. We do it through Discord. The mods will post the link to the free notifications in the chat right now. You can also find that link in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you sign up to the notifications. And also, I will be posting news updates on my X account, as I always do, at Lookner on X. You can follow me there for news updates when I'm not on the air, at Lookner on X. But I really do appreciate everybody joining me here, and joining the channel for the press conference today. Thanks for your questions and your comments and letting me read them on the air. And thanks for the news updates, as always, that people have been sending me. Hey, I want to shout out our moderators. Thanks so much to our moderators. Ruth Krafasi, Beth Mythical on YouTube, and all of our other YouTube moderators. We could not have our chat rooms without our moderators, so I really appreciate them. a lot of people chat. Excuse me. A lot of people chatting today as usual, so huge thanks to our moderators. Over on Twitch, our mods over there, people like Bastion Girl, Da Bears, I Got That Fire, Sarah, Riff Track, Surly Dev, Linda Belk, Larry, and Michon X. All of our other Twitch moderators too. Charlotte Webb, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley on Facebook, Shannon Davis Hughes, and all of our other Facebook moderators, thank you. Man, my schedule is messed up. It's, Spain is 6 hours ahead of Eastern Time US. So we've been doing a lot of streams where it's the middle of the night, or right now it's, 11:10 p.m. here, so my schedule's all messed up. Anyways, but it is what it is. What can you do? Hey, thanks to everybody who donated. That is super nice of you guys. You are the ones whose support keeps this channel on the air and allows me to buy news footage and all that. So thanks so much for your support. Hopefully I thanked everybody during the stream. Did I thank? I think I thanked Wavy Bay for subscribing. Thanks, everybody. If you ever want to donate, you go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But huge thanks for supporting the channel and let the channel exist. I very well might be doing more. I've done some live streams on my personal channel from Madrid, in addition to covering news from here. If you're interested, I have a personal channel on YouTube. It's called Lookner. On YouTube, on Twitch, it's called Look Nerd. Look Nerd on YouTube, Look Nerd on Twitch. And if you want, you can check out the streams I have done from Madrid. And we may do some more. That's what it looks like over there on YouTube right there, if you feel like it. Another good way to find out when Agenda Free TV is going live, for those of you on X, follow us on X, at Agenda Free TV. I always post there before we go live. I post updates about the channel over there, at Agenda Free TV. And also, we do have a chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. A lot of our viewers like doing it. It's on Discord. It's free. Check out the Discord chat. It's the same link as the free notifications link. So check it out. And huge thanks to our Discord mods for all you do as well. Thank you, Discord mods. I also want to mention, for those of you who watch on YouTube, I would suggest turning on the YouTube notifications. Another good way to find out when we're live. It's a little tricky. To do that, if you are on YouTube and you want to turn on the YouTube notifications, what you need to do, well, you need to subscribe to the channel. Then you need to click this bell, and then you need to choose all notifications. If you're already subscribed, make sure you have the bell checked, the bell clicked, and you've chosen all notifications. Okay. And hey, I want to thank a few more people here. I want to thank our Facebook subscribers for all your support, like Chuck Mosca, Robert Rial II, Jennifer Ellers, Sharon Klassen-Goslin, Shannon Davis-Hughes, Kay Lowry-Body, Margaret Riley, all of our other Facebook subscribers. Thanks so much for supporting the channel over there by subscribing. Thank you. Also, our Twitch subscribers, thanks to all of you, like Daddy666 Coda, Jax Animals, Wall Street, Shaggy, Strong One, Billy Joe, Da Bears, Shraki, A Stoic Pause, Douthis, Panolta. Thank you to all of our subscribers, our other subscribers on Twitch as well. Tom B, Wavy Bay, Nancy Elizabeth, Haunted Wind, Larry Pickle Jar, thank you. Guy from the 207. And all of our YouTube members. Big shout out to our YouTube members. People like Getchapul, CAC813, Val Cargo, Yuffie Lightning, Evelyn in Maine, Lynn Z, JK Sinar, Cogito, Ergo Sum. I never remember how to pronounce it. I always forget. Then I gotta look it up again. Is it Sum? Everybody's gonna yell at me in the chat. Cogito Ergo Sum, I guess is the Latin pronunciation. Cogito Ergo Sum, I guess. Anyways, thank you, Cogito, for being a member. Thanks to Bluesy Girl for being a member. J.K. Sinar, Confidence in God. David Davis, thanks for being members. Thanks, Claudia, for watching from Germany. Babelicious, thanks for being a member. And thanks everybody else for watching. Thanks all of our, thanks to our ex-viewers for watching. Thanks, Mom's Broke, if I'm reading that right. Thanks for watching. Oh, Groiper, thanks for being a member. Thanks, Jen Madison, for watching. And Jamie Rowland, thanks for watching. Janice Key Smith, Juliana Martin, thanks for watching. Sarah Smile, Christy Claft, Donald Mulligan, Hope Hune, if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry if I'm not. It is time. Did I thank RiffTrax for subscribing? I hope I did. Thanks AKA12806 for watching. Thanks Doodley Loves Chloe for watching. Doodley Loves Chloe and everybody else. All right, we're wrapping this up. I really appreciate you joining us for our live coverage of the Trump Kash Patel press conference. Again, if there's big news while I'm still in Madrid, I will do my best to get on the air. That is it for now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.